For these warm-ups, we're going to figure out what P represents, but we have to determine the scale first. So in this one, it goes from 0 to 2.5. So in the middle would be 1 1/4. So if we add 1 1/4, that would put us at 3 3/4. Then we would be at 5 here, and this would be 6 1/4. This one it is counting, it skips 4 spots to get to 8/5. So if we split that into 4 parts, each of these should be 2/5. So 2/5, 4/5, 6/5. And go ahead and determine what P represents in the remaining problems. I have this value 2.6 that needs to be placed on the number line. On our number line, currently we have integers. Is 2.6 an integer? No, because it's not a whole number. And it's not the opposite of a whole number. So to place 2.6, it's going to be between two whole numbers. And 2.6 is between 2 and 3. And it's closer to 3. Right in the middle would be 2.5. So 2.6 is closer to 3. So we know that 2.6 is between the whole numbers 2 and 3. Negative 2.6 is going to be between the numbers -2 and -3. Here I have A. The opposite of A is a decimal on the other side of 0. The opposite of B, that's 1.6, is up here. C is 3.2, so the opposite of 3.2 is -3.2. So even though we have integers and opposites, there's also decimals with opposites as well. Number 1 says, for parts A through E, consider the number line. What number is the opposite of the number that represents point A? Well, A, let's see, that'd be 0.4, and then it would jump to 0.8. So the opposite of point A would be -0.4. And then it says plot it on the number line and label it with point D. What number is the opposite of point B? B is -1.6, so positive 1.6 is the opposite. And we need to label that point E. C, what is the opposite of point C? That would be -3.2. Write the numbers that points A, E, and C represent as decimal fractions. So for A, we had 0.4, that's 4/10. For point B, we had 1.6 or -1.6, so that is -16/10. And for E, oh, excuse me, E would be positive. And C was 3.2, so that is 32/10. They wanted E instead of B. What are the opposites of the decimal fractions from part D? The opposite of 4/10 would be -4/10. The opposite of 16/10 is -16/10. And the opposite of 32/10 would be -32/10. Where would the number 2 1/4 be placed on the number line. This is bigger than 2 and smaller than 3, so it's going to be placed just to the right of 2. The opposite would be negative 2 1/4, which is going to be in between negative 2 and negative 3, but again closer to negative 2. For parts A through D, use the number line. Choose an appropriate scale and draw tick marks on the number line. I see 2/3, 5/3, and 7/3, so I'm going to count by thirds on my number line. And then we're going to do the same thing in the opposite direction. A. Plot points at 2/3 and its opposite. 2/3 and negative 2/3. B. Plot points at negative 5/3 and the opposite of negative 5/3. Fill in the blank. The rational number, negative 7/3, is located between the consecutive integers blank and blank. Well, if we were to reduce this or change it to a mixed number, 3 fits into 7 twice with 1 extra piece left over. So that is between negative 2 and negative 3. 6/3 is the same as negative 2. 3/3 is the same as 1. So it is between negative 2 and negative 3. Each interval on the number line has an equal length of 1/3. We space them all out by 1/3. In this one I see 0.5, this is 1 whole, 19/10 or negative 19/10 will be negative 1.9. We've got a 0.8, so it sounds like I need to count by tenths or 0.1. To start off, in the middle of 0 and 2 should be 1, and in the middle of 0 and negative 2 should be negative 1. Then from there we will have 0.1 or negative 0.1, negative 0.2, negative 0.3 all the way up to this, and then continuing past it. Plot the rational numbers negative 1.5, negative 1/2, which is the same as 0.5, would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0.5, and 2/2. 2/2 is the same as 1 whole. Which rational numbers from part A are opposites? The opposites are negative 1/2 and 0.5. Plot the rational numbers negative 19/10, which will be negative 1.9, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 1.9, negative 1/10, which would be 0.1, 0.8, there's 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, and 1.9. 1.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. Which rational numbers from part C are opposites? That is negative 19/10 and positive 1.9. Fill in the blank. Each interval on the number line has an equal length of 1/10, or you could say 0.1. Consider point P on the number line. Riley says point P is located at negative 2 3/5. Tara says point P is located at negative 1 2/5. Do you agree with Riley or Tara? Explain your reasoning. Well, it's definitely between negative 1 and negative 2, so it can't be negative 2 3/5 because that number would be between negative 2 and negative 3. And then we also have to determine if it's separated into 5 parts. So this would be 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. Okay, so here we would have negative 1, negative 1 1/5, negative 1 2/5. So Tara is correct. Negative 1 2/5 is between negative 1 and negative 2. And our scale counts by 1/5. Our job here is to determine if these are true statements or false, and if they are false, to give a counterexample. It says all integers are rational numbers. Rational numbers can be represented as decimals and fractions. So integers could be rewritten as a fraction. For example, the integer 5 can be rewritten as 5/1, or as a decimal with 5.0. So this one is true. All rational numbers are integers. Well, 1/2 is a rational number, but it is not a whole number. So this one is false. 2/5 is a rational number, representing 0.4. But again, 0.4 is not a whole number, so it is not an integer.